Heyo everybody, Haku here with the results for the second Tower of God character popularity poll. I'm mostly, for this video, just going to get into the results and go through the results, give what insights I can here and there, but just going through all of these names is going to be a really long video as is, so I don't want to spend a ton of time on diversions or personal opinions or anything, so I'm mostly just going to give you the facts, the information, where the characters landed and everything up here on screen. And I'm just cutting in here at the beginning to do this intro really quick because there are a few thank yous I want to give and just some general information. So to run through the general information, I'm working with all this off the top of my head right this second, but there were 538 characters involved that you could have the choice to vote for, and even then there were two that I thought of that I was like, I forgot to include those. So there are even some that are missing from that 538. As far as votes go, we managed to get 12,013, which is insane. I want to give a massive thank you to all of you first and foremost, because quite literally without all of you voting, we would not have had over 12,000 votes. I think that's crazy, because to me, last time I was like, hey, if we get 2,000 votes for the first character poll, which was in 2022, I was like, I'll be happy, 2,000 votes. We got 17,000, which is insane. And this time, you know, the raws, the scanlations are way ahead of the official translation, so there are people who kind of 3 months ago read the most recent chapter, and if they're not keeping up with Tower of God, fan content, or Tower of God fan areas, Reddit, Discord, whatever, then, they might just be checked out of Tower of God because they've already read the most recent chapter. So I thought it would be tough to get as much, and even getting to 10,000, I was like, it'd be nice to get more than we got last time, but even getting to 10,000 I thought would be very difficult. So to surpass 12,000 is insanely, insanely cool. This one ran from January 27th to February 27th, 1 month voting period, just like last time being in, I think it was August to September 2022 it ran for a month. So 3 years later, last time it was kind of right at the end of the nest. This time we're right at the end of the season. And I guess that's all of the basic general information for all of these. I'm going to give out some thank yous though really quick before we start. I definitely want to thank, I said before, thank all of you for voting because we literally couldn't get here without that. I want to thank some other content creators like Dr. Bonehead. Without a huge reach and audience like his, and also him just promoting it every single stream every time was really, really huge. Nia Hemmings, always helpful, sharing things, making a community post, people who've brought it up in their streams or videos, or people who have just shared it, like Animosity or Pyro Prima or Amy Angel. I wanted to say thank you to all of them, and if anybody else did too, I'm so super sorry for forgetting if anybody else did, but they went out of their way to help share and promote things, and all of you who went out of your way to share and promote things. And two especially big thank yous I want to give out. One to Boss Jesse, who's always been amazing. I don't really use Discord much outside of my own server, so I'm not really in the Tower of God Discord server, but Boss Jesse shared everything there. Huge thank you, and a massive thank you to Pate Arial, who always does so much to really help with the channel and stuff, but went out of his way to contact the mods for the subreddit. I don't really use Reddit in general at all. I'm not really a Reddit user, so went out of the way to message the mods for the subreddit, and when Pate didn't get an answer, he just made a thread anyway and then got the mods when they did answer to pin that. So huge thank you to Pate, and also to the Reddit mods and everybody who voted and came from Reddit. So yeah, huge thank you to all of you. I wanted to just say all of that before getting into the results. And with this kind of longer than I had hoped for intro out of the way, let's just start talking about these. I'm going to give you the full entire results all the way from 0 vote gang to the number 1 spot. Let's start with the 0 vote gang. And my usual purple here clashes a little bit with the orange of the character poll, but I'll be sending out all these results images so that any of you can have them yourself. You can share them around. I'll be leaving that for all of you to do whatever you want with. And I will, from memory, running through these, try to, tell you who all the characters are so that you have at least a little bit of background. That's another thing. Tell me your predictions before you continue in the video. If you want to, tell me your predictions for who will do well or not, but also tell me how many of these you actually remember of the 538 here. So we're starting off with Alex, who was one of the regulars in the last station. I kind of remember him being introduced. It was like Alex, and then Moguri, I think, was the one introduced next, so I'm pretty sure one of the regulars there from the last station. Alfred Zahard is one of the princesses of Zahard from the blog post. I think the owner of the Luminous June, and On Zahard, I think, is the owner of the Silver January. I think that's who the two of them are, or maybe it's, no, is it the White January? It's a Silver January, right? And then the White February doesn't have an owner. But then we have a Zahard's mother, who it's a little surprising, didn't get any votes, just somewhat surprising. I think these results, compared to last time, are more exciting to me, but also as somebody who's pored over these results time after time after time after time, and sort of compared them to the results from last time, I kind of see where a lot of this is coming from. So we'll get more into that as we go, though. We have a Nox new teammate who showed up. Some people in my comments were saying, hey, maybe it's Verity, but I really don't think so. We have the Ancient Blastoise that Tromare was fighting when he reunited with Enkidu. Apple there, Arku, who was one of the regulars living at the, what's it called, the Mushroom Farm? The Mushroom Station that Hockney was living at. It was one of the regulars living there. R.E.A. David, one of the 5 siblings that are a part of White. R.E.A. Honzahard, who really a lot of people are thinking a lot of these blog characters are going to get retconned or kind of deleted from existence. I think most of them aren't. I think there's a good chance most of them will still be in the story. Like Alfred and An I just mentioned, it's like, okay, well, we still need to have princesses to have the 13 months, so they'll probably still show up in the story even if they get reworked or something. The only one I think might get totally deleted is R.E.A. Honzahard, just because ever since Floor of Death, her lore story hasn't really aligned with what we've seen of the princesses in the actual, webtoon itself. So I think R.E.A. Honzahard's the one who I'm expecting to just not exist. R.E.A. Rose Zahard, who we might get into stuff with the princesses soon. We could see at some point one of the big regular princess team leaders. We were told in Name Hunt Station that R.E.A. Rose has a team, and Hendolak Gladmary has a team, and the two of them are like the big regular princesses. So it was like maybe Shibisu or maybe it was Andorthi who asked Lilial or Shilial, they're like, hey, which of those two teams are you aligned with? And they're like, we're on neither of those teams, and we get the reveal at the end that they're actually on a team with Kun Maria, who is like, now Kun Maria's team is this third regular princess team. And then I think that kind of leaves it nice where we have Anak and Andorthi, who are kind of our sort of fourth regular princess team. We have the R.E.A. Tunic guy. Both times we've seen R.E.A. Hone show up, when he showed up to the Tromare and Amazu party, and also when he was in Joaquin's flashback. He was with some guy that was all bandaged up and some guy wearing a tunic. So this is one of those two guys that were with R.E.A. Hone. We got Arvin Liu, one of the floating heads. This is the one we saw back in season 2. I'm not a huge fan of either of the floating head guys. Like story-wise, I'm like, I don't know. I don't feel like we need them. I don't know. Something about the design, I just don't like it. So I'm not a big fan of the floating head guys. You have the Ashen Badger, one of Tromare's creatures that became, I guess, Umtiti's creature. Belberhino was a sort of distant relative of the Hendolak family, related to the Hendolak family who was during the Helltrain saga during one of the tests. You have Bellix, who was one of the gamblers during Workshop Battle. Beniamino Cassano, who is a very funny part of the Zero Vote gang here, but also just did not do well last time either, and it seems like the anime did not provide a boost whatsoever. Blaruz, who was one of the regulars that Kun brought into the testing area with the Mambar and Dana, was part of the Crown game, and then ended up being a part of the final team to pass with Bomb, but then just didn't show up again. Was one of those that just passed with Team Bomb and then didn't show up again after season 1. Bloomer, I think, was the Guardian that Hua Ryun and Rachel's team hit in the nuts, right? That was Bloomer, right? Bong So was one of the not really cage, one of the canine sort of dog fighting people that was at the very, very beginning of season 3. You have, he was Lulu's boss. You have Bathman Bundoban, who was in the opening for the anime season 2, part 2. One of the regulars competing in the final tournament there in the workshop battle. Bruce, who was Yogurt Auntie's, like, teammate or whatever, who really just got beaten up, and that's about it. Bruegel was one of the regulars at Revolution Road. Bulgasario was another one that competed in the Battle X Gamble rounds of Workshop Battle. The Bull, of course, from Season 1. Buen was the only real time we have Buen is Buen was traveling with Hajin Sung when Hajin Sung fought Calavan, and then at the end he's like, Buen is supposed to fire the weapon from the El Rabina. So that's where Buen is from. Catan from Season 1, just one of the regulars. Chatanawa was a member of Division 1. Yeah, Division 1 of the 4th Squadron. Charlotte was, and I don't think Chatanawa showed up again in Season 3. She might have been killed by Evankel. You know, I always, like, kind of am like, I don't know if I count if a person's been killed or not. We'll see if we ever see them again. May have been killed by Evankel in Season 2 and Last Station, but may have shown up in Season 3. I don't know if Chatanawa was in the background at all in Season 3. Charlotte, one of Heljo's minions. Chigrinsky, one of Hess's, I guess, underlings in Name Hunt Station, was cut in half by Hatsu and died. He tried to Cosby Shia's team. We have Chung, who was one of the big breeders. Rachel took over his Oculus. Colden was one of Yama's gang. I think probably killed by Paul because we never saw him again after Paul took him out. Then we have Delete from the Wall with the Sleeping Forget-Me-Not, Data Kunakardi, Data Fonsakal Yurure, the Data Snake Charmer, Death Bird, one of Karaka's minions, same with Death Karambit. You got Devil Bon, who was one of the gamblers from Workshop Battle. Didiano's Monkey, got Dutong, another of the people. This one was in charge of the place where Ding Ding was being kept that Bomb infiltrated. There's the Enraged Rapid, which is surprising to me, and we see Giant Hairtail Fandor Harpe there as well. I thought that the Rapid and Harpe would do well just by being like prevalent trauma rage, you know? I just felt like trauma race creatures would generally do better, especially like notable ones like the Rapid and Harpe. Also, I probably could have just put Fandor Harpe because I'm pretty sure Giant Hairtail is the species, but Fandor Harpe is its actual proper name. You got Fabregas, which was one of Heljo's minions, Felix, which was one of Boro's sort of students who came into Bomb's team going into Revolution Road, but because of injury wasn't able to continue after Revolution Road. Frosty Bear, which is Wee Wee's creature, formerly Trauma Rays, I guess. The Gladiator Ranker, who was part of the Workshop Battle and then taken out by White during the Cage. The Goblin Shark from the Hotel arc. Golden Carp, Jew's creature. Grandaja, Grandali, and Grandasa's son, but not Grandasa in the Zero Vote Gang. Grande there, Gray from Season 1, Grom, another of Karaka's minions, Gyaro, who was Hemaslime's family's ancient creature, or like whatever, Gyagung, who was the sort of guide that was taking people around during the Cage arc, Haruda, who was sent from the Ha family to take part in the Name Hunt Station auction, Heite Hunel Kong, who was a part of Bomb's team from the beginning of Revolution Road through Dollar Show, but he was the doctor, so he stayed behind to take care of the injured, and we just never saw him again. Then we have Hax, who was the fisherman instructor in Season 1. Hendelok Blood Matter is surprising, because when talking about family heads, a lot of people seem to be excited for us to finally see Blood Matter at some point. So it does surprise me that Blood Matter didn't get any votes here. We have the Hidden Grove Lightbearer and Hidden Grove Scout. We get to see both of these characters when Hidden Grove is first introduced to us with Cha, Toro, Dewan, and Kunhin Luck, Taro York. So we see these two, we never get names from them, and then we see them again when they're like in the ship base, whatever. However, we don't see them when Kun Hin Luk is talking about the ones who were still alive, who were held captive. So maybe they were put in other walls like Cha and Dewan were. And we know that Cha and Dewan were the last heroes left in the walls. The other walls, for some reason, maybe their heroes had already been taken out, or maybe they just didn't have heroes to begin with. But I thought we had some sort of line like, oh, the other walls have already lost their heroes. So these two might have already been in other walls and then just got killed or taken out at some point. So we will probably never see these two again. And one of the two characters that I didn't include, there is not a good panel of them, but there's another guy that when they're in the ship, when they're in the base, there's a guy with like these diamond-shaped bits at the bottom of his shirt that's in their base at that point. And when Liboric is talking to Kun Hin Luk about the ones who are still alive that he frees during the first defensive wall of the nest and everything, we see Taru York, and we see the guy with the diamond things at the bottom of his shirt. So Taru York and the diamond shirt guy, those two might still be alive, actually. If we are to believe Liboric just letting them free after Kun Hin Luk sacrificed himself. High Leech Monk from the Floor of Death, high-ranking Ha family member from Chonhee's flashback. This is a high-ranking member of the Ha family, so I wonder if we'll ever get more details on who they were. Holly was one of the members of the army from, I guess that would make them a member of the 2nd Division of the 4th Army Corps from Last Station. Hung Danhua, sad that Hung Danhua got no votes. Huang also getting no votes. Huing Ya Eppo was one of the people competing in the marriage tournament, so to speak. Got the Highbrider. Hyun Chung was another of the gamblers, I think, in Workshop Battle. Then Ilnak Rapal was the reporter character from the hotel arc. Immort, who is one of the slayers from the blog post. Hopefully we get to see Immort eventually. Io from Workshop Battle. Jay is one of the servants of Kul Nassam K from the... I guess J and K got killed during Last Station and didn't appear in Season 3, I think. Unless they did appear in Season 3, in which case I guess they survived. I don't remember if they showed back up in Season 3. I haven't read the first defensive wall in a bit. We have Juk, one of the big breeders from the Hidden Floor. JM, which was Hess's brother from the Name Hunt Station, taken out by Novik. Then Ju Chun, which is one of the Three Lords. Again, I really hope we get to see the Three Lords in the series itself. Ju Chun's a friend of Yurik Mazano and the child of Ari Han and a Tower native. Then we have Jowardin, not Jordan, but Jowardin, is another, like Arku, another one of the regulars who were living at the mushroom place that Hackney came from. Juglam Gote was one of the regulars, I think part of Royal Park's team, in the Revolution Road arc. Collar was the guy who was part of Yasracha's squadron, who when Yama first gets so Collar shows up and he's telling Kal Rahim, who Kal Rahim's next actually. Kal Rahim's the ruler of the wall that Cha was kept in, the Wall of Peaceful Coexistence. So Kal Rahim was being told by Collar, hey, Yasracha's here to take out this wall, to take out the hero and everything. And then Yama gets warped in and insta-kills Collar, from what I remember. Katra was one of the people trying to free Cha at the Wall of Peaceful Coexistence. Katu was a member of Yama's gang who was killed in the past by Doom. Kehelman was, I think, one of the guards of the wall where Cha was sealed, the Wall of Peaceful Coexistence. Kel, Yule's partner, we haven't seen too much. I always called him Discount Batis in all of my reactions. We got Kasa, the other big head guy. We saw this guy in Season 3. Kul Nassam K, one of the, I guess, he's a division vice commander. He's the 1st Division vice commander of the 4th Army Squadron. Then there's the Kun from Amazu Flashback A and Kun from Amazu Flashback B. So when Edwan first shows up, he has 2 Kuns with him. We know that some families started their family making earlier than others. So Kun already had 2 adult children by the time of Traumare's party. And these 2 show up with Edwan. And that's kind of all we know about them. I wonder, again, they have to be extremely old. You would think they have to be some of Edwan's first children. So it makes me wonder if we will see more of these 2 in the future when we get into Kun family stuff. We have Kun Masheni, the mother. So Kun Masheni is one of Kun Edwan's wives and the mother of both Kun Masheni Zahard and Ron. We don't know if Kun Masheni Zahard's named after her mom, or if she, like, when you start climbing the tower, when you become a regular, you get to enter in a name. So you can, like, enter in whatever name you want when you start climbing as a regular. So we don't know if Masheni's named after her mom or if she just took her mom's name when she started climbing. But either way, this is the wife of Edwan and the mother of Masheni and Ron. Because Masheni and Ron are full siblings with each other and half siblings to, like, Maria, Aguero, all the others. Kim Lurker Koer was called the chairman. He was a descendant of the king of the people that got put in the Wall with the Sleeping Forget-Me-Not. They called him chairman of the Wall with the Sleeping Forget-Me-Not. You have Kone, one of the regulars from Season 1. Kong, one of the regulars from Last Station. I keep forgetting Last Station. I keep tripping myself up on it. Kronka is the somebody, it feels demeaning to say servant of Garam, friend of Garam, and they were roommates. Kronka's doing something with Garam. Then we have Lazy Elgor. You got Li Sowa, which was the son of Li Jiawoon, who was the person who's in charge of the Last Station. You got Li Ron 3, one of the members of, one of the regulars during the early parts of Season 1. Leg, who was another of the regulars competing in the Battle X Gamble portion of Workshop Battle. I think he was in the same, like, round as Bulgasario. Those two were introduced together. You got Lopobia Didiano, Lopobia Fights, Lopobia Keruru, the Dugong Rider, Lopobia Meyer, Lopobia Porp, who was the one sent to, like, the auction to buy a lane back during the name hunt station and everything. Lopobia Tump, Lopobia Umtiti, Lopobia Wiwi. Looks like being around in the recent arc just did not help them. I guess Umtiti wasn't really around. Lopobia Yorari, who was the head of the Snake Branch currently. Don't know if they survived the issue, the things that happened in the nest or not. Lopobia Urayo, who was good at one thing, which was stopping REA swordsmanship, and was taken out by REA swordsmanship. Failed at the one thing that they were supposedly meant to do. You got Louis here. Luca, who was one of Kanhong's friends, I guess, from the cage. Lulu, who was one of the 10 bosses, taken out by Sachi. Then you have Mad. Yeah, Lulu was taken out by Sachi. J.M. wasn't one of the 10 bosses, but he was taken out by Novik. And then Variel Vani was taken out by Huarian. Then Mad, which is one of the children of Mixeth. In the blog post, Mixeth has 5 children that we know of. There's Flux, who became one of the 3 lords of Zahard. And then there's Mad, Max, Mai, and May. So you see all of the rest of them also not getting votes. You have Maddox here. He was the one who did the experiment on Horyang and Kasano, Madarako there. We see May also down below. We have Max and May as well, or Mai. Then we have Magix, who was a member of, I guess he's a member of Wall Song. He was running the place where everybody stayed at after the workshop battle ended. Marte, the octopus woman, one of the 10 bosses, taken out by Dorothy. Then Masha was one of the regulars who was in the final tournament of the workshop battle. Masha and Paul Belkron were the ones who fought Rak and Yiwa, I believe. Then McCage, it's funny, McCage, the least active member of Yusracha's army corps, despite being like the number 2 to Yusracha. Medley, Battis's daughter from the Hidden Floor, Mirror of the Past, also from Hidden Floor. Misabichi, one of the, I guess, 2nd Division members of the army from Last Station. Mia, one of the gamblers from Workshop Battle, and also had that scene with, I think it's Kuhn during the final tournament where she's a snake lady and everything. Moguri, I mentioned earlier, was mentioned alongside Alex when they were introduced, regulars during the Last Station. Navigator here, also a regular during the last station. Myan not getting any votes. Poor Myan was Paul's creature that Paul and Chalulu and stuff used for transportation. Noma, who was the test director for the Flower of Zygena arc. Nyono Wan, who was, I think, the 4th Division commander of the 4th Squadron, 4th Corps, whatever. I think they're the 4th. Kun Hindluck was the... I feel like I've gotten Kun Hindluck, Popodal Liborik Kun, Kulnasam K. I feel like I've mixed up those names a little bit here, so I'm sorry if I did. I'm probably misspeaking a lot. But I'll only know that when I cringe at it when I'm editing. So Nyono Wan was, I think, the 4th Division, and Kun Hindluck was the 3rd, the 2nd being Chonhee, and 1st being Ari Bright Jaren. Octopus Kim was a character from the Hidden Floor. Pan was the test ranker that Bomb fought right before the nest. The party guest was swirly blonde hair. There are 4 unnamed party guests that I added to this. There's the one with the swirly blonde hair and the one who looks kind of like Elaine, because those two had a panel focusing on them, and I think they were sitting with other family heads when we got that panel. There's the one with red hair, just because everybody was making like theories of, oh, is that a Red Witch guide? Is that actually Wabrionin? She's actually super old. Is that actually Blossom? I don't know that any of those are true. I mean, she could be a Red Witch, but you know, I only put in those 4 just because they were sort of notable. And also I didn't mention the one that was with Edwan sitting with all the family heads, just because, again, she was sitting with the family heads. Probably not anybody important, but who knows. Paul Belkron, I mentioned earlier, fought Rakan Yiwa. Then we have Pedro, the Death Eye. Bafama Morseto, who is one of the Slayers who's been mentioned but not seen. Person who might be Akraptor's daughter. Kind of surprising that nobody voted for them a little bit. The pink girl from Name Hunt Station. We didn't get a name for her, but she's kind of around a lot in Name Hunt Station. She infiltrates the place at the end with Ron and Shia and Dan. The Popodal Book Police. No votes for the Book Police. Popodal Enver, Popodal Erno, Popodal Richemont, Popodal Varan. I think, you know, a lot of people would say the Lopobia won the war that happened, but the Popodal, I think, lost in terms of popularity. So you got Pollock there as well, which is the Shinheo of Dorian Frog. I always have to remember Dorian, not Damien. Polo was one of the regulars introduced in Last Station, I think. Pompido or Hongjo was a member of Bero's team, got killed by Angel. R.I.P. Pompido / Hongjo. Pondo Zahard is also here. We see Rebecca Pon Zahard. 2 of the princesses mentioned in the Eurasia N incident. So the whole thing that happened with the Eurasia N incident was that a team of 4 princesses was sent and captured her, and 2 of the 4 died. So there was Pondo Zahard, Rebecca Pon Zahard, Uni Zahard, and Kun Masheni Zahard. So Kun Masheni and Pondo survived and became famous because of it, and Rebecca Pon Zahard and Uni Zahard died during the capture of Eurasia N. I think that's a part of the reason why Masheni is ranked in the top 100, is because of her being a part of the team that captured Eurasia N. Pondo, if we ever see her again, maybe she'll have a name change, who knows, but I think she will also kind of be another famous princess. And then Rebecca Pon and Uni died. We're probably not going to see them unless we get a full flashback to the Eurasia N incident, which, you know, we could get. We'll have to wait and see. And then also, of course, it's like, whoa, you know, Eurasia N was stopped by Pondo and Masheni. There is also, you know, a rumor that Haste Zahard and Zahard himself intervened. So again, I don't think we would have been told, hey, there's a rumor this thing happened, if it didn't actually happen. So I think that when we do, if we do get more info on it, and if it is as things were explained to us, then Zahard himself and Haste Zahard will probably be involved. Powler is another member of the 2nd Division, I guess, of the 1st or 4th Army Corps that was introduced in Last Station. And, you know, one of those many ones that were probably just one-shot by White at the beginning of the arc. Purple Eye Brothers were regulars from the Last Station that were taken out by Misang. I already mentioned Rebecca Pon Zahard. Redbeard, another of the regulars taken out by Bomb, I think, during the Last Station. Red Greymon! Red Greymon was another regular who was around a lot during Name Hunt Station and was part of the group, like with Bomb and Kun, who went into the place at the very beginning to go confront Elaine. Then you got Red Guy, Five Eyes. You have Ridong, who was part of Team Mad Dog, I think. Ridong and Vivi Olga, I think, were often seen together. And were either taken out by Wariyun, maybe when Wariyun was still pretending to be Yuto, or they were taken out by Horyang and Novik when Horyang and Novik were going on the bomb rescue mission during Workshop Battle. One of those two things. I don't remember if it was Wariyun or if it was Novik and Horyang. Robert Isand is one of, and you see Tommy down here as well. Robert Isand and Tommy in the blog post are the people that are kind of in charge of the ranking administration office. So when it comes to how characters are ranked, how the rankings go, Robert Isand and Tommy are part of the ranking administration office. Then you have Rasatani, Egil, who is a regular from the Revolution Road arc, Rodney, who is another of the gamblers from Workshop Battle. Roland was a member of Yama's gang, and I think Roland was killed by Gato when Gato revealed that he was a traitor. Then Rose/D, Bottas's wife. Royal Park was one of the team leaders, one of the regulars during Revolution Road. Loziel from Season 1. Ryuan was the friend, and they were roommates of Lisa Young during the last station. Sanchez was the most prolific by far of Heljo's minions. He was around for almost all of the arc, messing around with the princesses and stuff. Then Scale of Judgment, we just saw recently. Seraphim, Shadow Fox, which was Alphine's creature. Shakul, which was a member of the 1st Division of the 4th Army Corps, taken out by Evankel, probably killed. Sophia Amaye, who was the sort of researcher and semi-foster mother. It's giving her way too much credit to call her that, of Horyang and Kasano. Then you have the Soul Devourer from the Floor of Death. Song, also from the Floor of Death. The Tacky Salesman, who was trying to sell his stuff to Hugo, and Hugo's like, no, it's all tacky. And he's like, fine, well, guess what? I have Kirin troops in my ship. So that's what happened with the Tacky Salesman. You got Tall Guy with Rachel. We never got a name for this guy. He's a kind of really weird inclusion to the story. It feels like we really didn't need this guy to exist unless we're going to see him again, and I don't know if we are. Taro York from the Hidden Grove. Teb, who was the one who was like, open up, Kane, we're gonna arrest you. And Kane's like, come on, Teb. Really? We're doing this, Teb. So that was Teb from the Wall with the Sleeping Forget-Me-Not. Tibo and Rebo fought Wangnan in the Workshop Battle. Tinker Roche is the 9S, I guess, part of the detached division of the 4th Army Corps. Tinker Yolche and Tinker Roche kind of have this 2B 9S vibe to their designs, and Roche is the 9S in that pairing. Then you got Tochi, who was the teammate of Bero Bero, and Irure, who was taken out by Joaquin completely. Oh no, he wasn't killed by Joaquin. He was killed by Elliot, right? Elliot bifurcated him. Then Tommy, I already mentioned. Toro was part of the Hidden Grove, and I think he had to give his life in order for Cha to be freed, much like Kane had to give her memories for Dewan to be freed. Drumray's Croc, his big green croc, killed Noobles, but hey, Noobles got the last laugh, it looks like. Then we have Traveler here. Traveler getting 0 votes. Not surprising, even though he showed up in the anime. I guess, you know what, a little bit surprising? It's surprising that it feels like somebody would like Traveler, right? Like, it feels like somebody would like the guy. The Treasure Eating Stingray, the Minazuki itself. Then we have Trio, another of the regulars, I guess. Maybe Trio was like a triple form of Tibo and Rebo. Another of the regulars introduced to us at the beginning of last station. I don't remember if we even ever saw him again. The Unnamed Division Commander with 3 mouths, taken out off screen by Karaka and Doan during the Nest. The Unnamed Division Commander with dark skin. Actually, he was the most hyped up of those division commanders working for Liboric. He kind of did a little bit during that arc. Not as much as you would have thought he did for how much they tried to hype him up, but he did enough that I think if he was given a name, I think he would have done kind of well. Like, I think people would have liked him, voted for him if he had a name, because I think he did enough that people would have just remembered him. The unnamed Machete ally who freed Highbrider, we never learned who this was. I kind of thought it might have been Maria. We might get that reveal in the future. As of yet, no idea if it's Maria or not, or no confirmation, but may or may not have been Maria. Then we have Unos, Vanquish, Varagarv, Variel Vani, the key man, who was one of the 10 bosses taken out by Huariyun, then Venti, then Vice Altar Director, Walcott, Wangnan's mom, surprise, no votes here, Water Jelly, no votes for Water Jelly, and Wei, who was the other servant of Kulnasam K, and I kind of thought while making these results, I was like, is it supposed to be Y instead of Wei? Because you have J and you have K, and those are letters. Is he supposed to be Y? Instead of Wei, is he supposed to be Y this entire time? Like W-I? White Steel Eel here, Yadu, who was the creature that Garam rode around on. That was Garam's creature. Then Yunwoon, who, sad, no Yunwoon voters. Youngsuk, who's Yogurt Auntie. Yokim is like one of the guardians or whatever on the Hell Train. I'm pretty sure it goes something like, they're like, okay, we gotta fight Yokim, and Bora's like, well, time to get this over with, and Sachi holds him back and is like, no, Bomb has to do it on his own if he's gonna be strong enough to beat Joaquin, so then Bomb has to fight Yokim by himself. Yulker, who was the head of the detached division or whatever of the 4th Army Corps under Calavan, got his fingers chopped off by White. Yubukdol, who was the spear bearer teacher for the 2nd floor. Yulia, who was a princess candidate who had something like, Reflejo at least looked at her, and then Reflejo's whole family, tribe, whatever, were killed. And the people that killed his tribe or family or whatever, were wearing Pobedao family symbols. So I kind of thought about saying Pobedao Yulia Zahard, but she's probably Pobedao, but we don't have the hardest of hard confirmation. And also, she was a princess candidate. We don't know if she actually became a princess. But the fact that she was a princess candidate, and from the Pobedao most likely, means that she would have been pre-Eurasia N. Yung Chang-su was one of... Hold on, can you even see these on screen? Yeah, except for the last one. Yung Chang-su was one of the teammates of Huariyun in the Crown game. Then Unisona was another of the regulars from the last station. Uni Zahard, I mentioned earlier, died during the Eurasia N capture mission. Yuram Zahard was the sister of Guram Zahard, who went insane after igniting 2 of the 13-month series at the same time. And then Guram had to put her down, so to speak. And then we've got Yuryu, who was another of the members of the... I thought with this design, Yuryu would actually be a character, but was actually another of the 2nd Division characters that got taken out by White at the beginning of last station. And then lastly, let me figure out how to make it so you can see this. Okay, lastly is Yuto, the real Yuto, not the Huariyun pretending to be Yuto, who is in the arc for just a teeny bit. So there's a while there where Huariyun is with Kun's team, and then Yuto is with Team FUG, Bomb's team. So unless Huariyun can be in the same place at 2 times, then that was the real Yuto that was with Bomb's team for a little while. But then by the time that Yuto fights against Vespa, we see the red hair in there. So by that time, Huariyun was probably already in Yuto's place. So pre-Huariyun taking Yuto's place, Yuto. And now that we've all been through that marathon, some of you might have even forgotten what this video's about, but in 253rd place, we have the One Vote Gang. Finally on One Vote Gang, finally. We have Akranak here, Alumic Edrock, the REA Bandage guy I mentioned before, REA Hagaferion Zahard, Avto, Batis, Bero, Sworn Enemy, Kanzone, Chung Chung from Season 1, Chupacabra, Death Lady, Devi, Dobo, Dragon, who was one of the quest givers for Hidden Floor. Now we're getting into characters that I probably won't have to describe because you'll probably remember them. Fenrir, the God of Guardians, Gunter, who was one of the... Surprised Gunter didn't get more votes. I'm very pleased with you all that he didn't get more. One of the gamblers, I think, in Workshop Battle. Gran Abuelo, Grandesa getting 1 vote out of all of this. The Grey Wolf. So right there below Fenrir. Then we have Groban, one of the members of Team Mad Dog during the workshop battle. H-23, one of the members of the 2nd Division of the 4th Army Corps. Ha Chai, who trained Bomb over the time skip for a bit for him to activate Zero or whatever. Haste the Heart, I mentioned before, was a princess who was like the only known princess to be offered a 13-month and turn it down, and that will probably have something to do with the Eurasian incident, but we'll see. You got Hess the Dirt Man, was one of the 10 bosses in the Name Hunt Station. Hong Chunhua, one of Bomb's teammates, who again passed with the rest of the team in Season 1 and then just wasn't seen again, has one of the 7 Sacred Swords, would love to see that come into play again. You got Icarus, who I don't know if Icarus will be an actual character or not, you know? But either way, it was an option. Jung, I think, is another one of the test givers, like the quest givers during the Hidden Floor. Kendrick Deal, Kelhelm's Tree Buffalo. Kun's sister, his actual sister, who we have this little panel of. Knife, another of the random army members from the last station. Kukaku Raku Kakuka was another of the regulars. I think the ones brought in with Kun's bag from for the crown game. I think it was Kukaku Raku Kakuka, Gray, and Blaroos were those 3, but, you know, my memory might be a little bit off. Got Lisa Young from last station, Little Yoon, who deserved more. Lopobia Dokoko, who I think is a bit underrated. Lopobia Fuchile, friggin' Five Nights at Freddy's himself. Kind of, you know, Five Nights at Fuchile's, I was kind of, you know, a little disappointed. He deserves a little bit more. Lobi, who... weird situation being included in the story at all. Is Lobi ever going to be important? Probably not. Why were we given Lobi? Mahan is another of the regulars from the... was he part of Aka's team? I don't remember if he was part of Aka's team or not, but he was in Revolution Road. Got Miayum there from the Hidden Floor. Malik 1 PGR, one of the 3 lords. Miss Ice Strawberry and Miss Ice Strawberry's partner, 2 of the members of Walhike Song. You've got Mule, who was the Elder Envoy from FUG, who was taken out by Yama, then was like, haha, joke's on you, I'm gonna nuke the place, and then the nuke got sniped by Jordan. You got the Odd-Eyed Cobra, Percheron Attica, Popodau Giscard, Hugo's Vice Commander, Poken, Poto Po, Prometheus, Punk, Quadrado, R and R's brother, and, you know, who has it worse than R's brother? It's one thing to be an unnamed character, it's one thing to be a nothing character, but the only thing that you have is being the relative of a nothing character. Ouch. That's like, nobody has it worse than R's brother here. Zooming out so that, you can see all of these, hopefully. You got Red Brubia, Red Thrissa, who, wow, Red Thrissa barely getting anything here. Red Brubia's face is so funny, though, deserves more. Rian, another of Kanhong's friends. Ruelmon, who was one of Yama's gang. We really haven't seen Ruelmon again after the cage. Chopin, who was mentioned again here in Season 3 at the beginning of the Sprout, I guess. The Six-Legged Lizard, the Sword Ranker, who was taken out by White, was part of the workshop battle and everything. Tin was the guy who they was part of the... I guess I didn't include the green parasite guy on the poll either, but Tin was one of the ones that was part of the plans to, again, Cosby Yiwa. I did not expect to say that happened once in this video, let alone twice. Tinker Yolche, the 2B in the relationship I mentioned before. Tonki, who was really cool. Tonki's story was really cool. Tromre's One Reborn. I was calling it Tromre's Dead Soul in my notes and everything, but I saw somebody in somebody's chat, I think probably Dr. Bonehead's chat, call it, or it could have been Ron Can's chat. Somebody called it the One Reborn, and I was like, oh, that's too perfect. I gotta call it One Reborn. Workshop Soldier from Yusracha's flashback. Who knows if that'll be important. Yellowy from Season 1. Part of the Yu Hansung's examination. UJ, who always deserves more love in my opinion, and more screen time too. I like UJ. I wish we got to see more of Walhike stuff here. And then Yukon, the toxic waste human, part of the, was he a 10 boss? I think he might have even been one of the 10 bosses during the Name Hunt station. And in 220th place, we have the 2-vote gang with the Ancient Giant, Ashula Dwaru, who is the person who forged the 13 months, Baekryun, the leader of Walhaixong, who was mentioned a few times this arc, Bone, I freaking love Bone. I love that. I love that picture so much. I love Bone so much. I would die for Bone. From Hidden Floor was the robot guy, part of like Batis and Daddy Yu Hansung's group. And Daddy Yu Hansung is like, no, you don't have to stay behind. You don't have to sacrifice yourself, Bone. And Bone stays behind, sacrifices himself, gets killed by the Data Serpent Master. No, not Serpent Master, Snake Charmer. Jeez. Bolsar Elliott. And this, one of the biggest shocks to me. This is one of the biggest shock results to me. The Daejang / boss / captain with the mole and with the scar, both of them only getting 2 votes. El Bozo, I guess, because, wow, no hype apparently. These guys, nothing here. Data Yurik Mazano is here. I think one thing that I noticed from this set of results compared to last set of results is last set of results, a lot of the data characters did really well. A lot of the data characters were really high last time, and the data characters are far lower this time. We have Deng Deng here, Evan Kell's Fire Elephant, H14, which was another of the random army members at last station, Hell Joe, Kun Royale Elliott, who was the ruler of the 44th floor, Kurudan, member of Walhaixong, took out Ren back in season 1, and then Lopobia Kadede, Lopobia Sicarius, Lobodan / Robodon's doctor, the doctor that tried to save Yasracha, but it's like, nah, too late, can't do it. Mask Girl, Mr. Neon Bag. Mask Girl was a part of Akka's team through the early Hell Train, and Mr. Neon Bag, of course, from Yuan Sung's examination. Got Nanotona from the detached division of Yasracha's 5th Army Corps. The party guest who looks like a Lane, Fentaminum. Fentaminum way lower than last time, way lower than last time. Fonsakal Drak, again, member of Chonhee's division this time around. Pinnacle is regular from the last station. I'm trying mentally to think and say less now because I've said it way too much. So I did it again. Popodao Proust, who very low. Popodao family, not doing the most well, except for a couple that you'll see. Popodao Ragma, Popodao Ruini, Rafleho, who could have done a little better. Not much of a boost from the anime, I think. Stua Arthur, who was the altar director for Zahard's altar during the last station 3 order stuff. Tulalan, who was a regular from Walhaixong. Verdi didn't do well last time. Verdi not doing well again this time. Vivi Olga was a member of Team Mad Dog, I believe, who was probably taken down alongside Ridong by, again, either Waryun or Nova Koryang, don't remember. And then Windbird was a big part. Windbird, more votes than Coco. Was a part of the first defensive wall of the nest. Now, we have our 3-vote gang in 203rd. 203rd, you got Alexei Amigo Chaz, Ari Han, another of the 10 family heads, Beto, Emily, first emperor from season 1, Flippa, Flux, one of the 3 lords, then Ghost of the 13 Months, and I also mentioned Flux being one of the children of Mixeth, Ghost of the 13 Months, Kundevo Perez, the ever-curious Levy, Lopobia Odari, who was the son of the branch leader of the snake branch of the Lopobia family, Megalodon, we got some shark fans here, Nia from early season 2, Pobadao Kir, Trughe, the crab, Tupari, and Shia Lulu. And then I think I also have, I have the 4-vote gang here. 188th place, 4 votes. You got the 43rd floor administrator, who I think is the coolest looking administrator we've seen. The administrator at the Sprout, that's a pretty recent one. Blue Thrissa, Charlie, Dada Viol, the God of Guardians, ? God of Guardians, ? Getting more votes than God of Guardians proper. Because we know that the guy on the Hell Train was God of Guardians. But his story doesn't really align with this guy that we saw in the V flashback. So this is the guy from the V flashback. You got Green April here, Jade, who is a new addition, one of the Revolution members. The Revolution members, seemingly, not doing too hot. Then, I feel like there's not a ton of recency bias for this poll compared to a lot of polls that you see. But I think there's pretty good reason for that. You got Kunhin Luck, you got Library Girl, Lopobia Perseus, the long-tailed tit, technically Mother Long-Tailed Tit, from the Hidden Floor, Morotic Guardian from Revolution Road. The party guest with Edwan was sitting around with Edwan when he was bragging about taking out mechanoids or whatever, and the other family heads were there. Yan Ilarde, who may or may not end up showing up in the series in some way. I still have a personal theory of how I think Ilarde will show up, but we will see. Also interesting that Irang and Irarde is, kind of similar there. Or actually, I keep saying day, but it's more like Irado. So Irang versus Irad. I still think there's a way that she could show up, but this isn't the place for that. Let's get into the top 187. 180 is a tie with 5 votes apiece. You see Goon here. Once again, you're making me proud not voting him higher. Goon was one of Hwarion's teammates during the Crown game alongside Jung Chang-soo, I think was his name. Lopobia Purper. Got Ha Chon-hee's father, Papa Chon-hee, based votes there. Fonsakal Irure. Got Kun Hasheling, Pobadao Noobles, who, did a little bit better than Trom's Croc. And Liliel's cat. Liliel's cat, in my notes, is listed as Death. And I kind of wanted to put the cat as Death in the character poll, but it felt like a lot of people wouldn't get the reference. It's because there's this one scene where Liliel is like, while you're distracted by the irregular or whatever, she's like, well, you're distracted by that. Death is slowly creeping up behind, and then we get a shot of the cat creeping up behind. It's like, the cat's name, it's Death. So then we have Lopobia Alphine. That's the last of our 5-vote 180th place tie here. So going up then to 170th place, we have 6 votes apiece for Arie Anna, Lopobia White Garment Widow, Dorian Frog, Pandit, who was a member of Team Mad Dog, seen most often with Groban, taken out by Hworyang and Novik when they were going to rescue Bomb. You got the party guest with red hair, who I said there's been a bunch of theories about, Ha Chon-hee, Lopobia Candidi, Quietro Blitz, who didn't do as well as Chang, despite doing better than Chang last time, and I'm just a little bit surprised that Quietro didn't do more well than this, especially with the anime and everything. But then again, Quietro was part of that really infamous clip that, is probably one of the only things that a lot of people have seen from the anime with that really bad animation. So there's Lopobia Jew, and then Vespa. Vespa and Verdi didn't do well last time, also not doing great again this time, but I think did slightly better. 157 brings us to 7 votes. We have Data Yu Hansung in 11. We've got also Quant down here. Quant's a little bit low, and Sola. Then Lopobia Haracha, who, was pretty popular last time, but last time we were right there at the end of the nest. Elpathian down here. Hendolak Gladmary Zahard, which is like the second highest for a character we haven't even seen yet. Then Lopobia Katan, Yasracha's cat, the Pobadao Fluffy Hat guy. What a shame. What a shame. What a waste. Then Kane, Kel Halam, who I like. I like Kel Halam, but Kel Halam has never been popular. I feel like I'm one of the only people who like Kel Halam. And Bobadao Michel. So that was all our 157th place. In 146th place, with 8 votes, you got the second floor administrator, Lopobia Koyup, who didn't actually do as well as I was thinking he might. Samwoo Nare, then Akryung / Ghost, Lopobia Kukura, Arrogant Kraken, Lopobia Yule, Verdish, who, I voted for. Then Dataku, at least one of my votes. I spread out the votes that I had. Then Datakun Kisea. Also, speaking of Danwan Huang getting 0 votes, I kind of made a rule for myself since I could see the results. It's okay, I'm not allowed to vote for anybody who has 0 votes, because I feel like that's me using meta knowledge of the results to influence things. So I set that rule for myself. But Datakun Kisea, you got Mixeth, got Ryua, who was the person who was talking at the beginning of, I guess right after they formed their team talking to Yiwa, and Yiwa in the old translation called her like Auntie Ryua, so who knows if that means, I guess she's probably part of the Yeon family, but that's probably just a translation of honorific, so she's probably not her actual aunt, though, I mean, she could be, can't really rule it out, but probably just a Yeon family member that Yua was talking to. Then in 137th place with 9 votes, you've got Beta, who, you know, bringing the first member of Team Novik we've seen, bringing the Team Novik average down, come on Beta. Then Lopobia Mur, who I liked, Gato, Ra Ratnagra, then Ho, Ranmei, Lopobia Gororo, Tura, who is one of the weirdest cases of a character that we got a box for. Like, why did we get a character intro box for this guy? We got Tura, and then Holin. Holin doing, I guess, not surprisingly, like, I like Gororo. I could have seen, like, for me, Gororo could have done higher, but Holin, it's like, I don't know. He's been through a lot of bad stuff, but that's kind of just it. Holden showed up with a cool design, and then the story just kind of shit on him for like 100 or so chapters. In 132nd place at 10 votes, you got Data Kun Marco Asensio, full black, who I'm kind of surprised didn't do better. Honestly, I thought a lot of people would vote for him. He's a regular from season 1. In the anime, they dressed him up like Zoro. When you like put in your votes and everything, he was down at the bottom right by the vote button. So I was like, okay, he has kind of a goofy name and he's right by the submit vote button. So I just figured people would be reminded of him every time they voted and people would just throw some votes to him. So I do think that's what happened. Like, if you were a random meme character, like in the middle of this sea of 500 plus characters, it's one thing, but when you're like right there by the submit button, people will get reminded of you. So I think that's why he got these votes. Then you have Namo, who did better than Sola. You know, I like Namo's hair more. Pobadao Lu, I know some of these were Pate votes. And then Yuliu Mata, I like Mata. In 125th place with 11 votes, you got Akka Williams, who was just in the top 100 last time, falling just out of the top 100 this time. Serena Renan, who from season 1 is a pretty popular character, did pretty well last time, but a lot of the season 1 characters did a lot less well, and I think it's because last time when we did the poll, we were kind of toward the end of the nest, which means that season 1 of the anime was way fresher. That was way newer, so I think that a lot of season 1 characters did really well in the poll last time, because of the season 1 of the anime being kind of recent. Then you've got Augustus, Yuhana. I think Yuhana was also just within the top 100 last time, falling out this time. I like Yuhana. Got Boro, it's sad to see. Sad to see Boro so low. Then Lopobia, El Baba. What a great design. Like, I don't know. Kind of bummer what happened with the character, but what a great design. Maybe we could see some El Baba redemption in the future. Him coming back with the milk and cigarettes. Then you have Raguel, or Angel, who also dropped kind of a bit, but again, it's been over 3 years since we've seen Raguel/Angel. And actually not just over 3 years, but like well over 3 years. But definitely in the past 3 years, we have not seen Raguel or Angel. In 117th place with 12 votes, you have one of the Red Witch guides from the Floor of Death, and Jordan, one of my favorites. I freaking love Jordan. Baylord Wang Wang Lopobia Rashut, who is, of the branch leaders, pretty highly rated. Datakun Edwan, who dropped a ton. Datakun Edwan was really highly ranked last time. Still, you know, didn't do terribly this time. This isn't terrible, almost top 100, but now people have, like, the real Edwan to vote for. Then you got Fonseca Laude, who isn't super surprising to me, given that when I was reading week to week through season 1, through season 2 even, especially like early season 2 before we got to Hell Train, he was a goofy fan favorite character. People loved that he could be fun, he could be comic relief, and then have cool scenes as well. But not only has he not done anything in years and years and years and years, I see more and more comments of people complaining about characters like that who have kind of just done nothing in years and years and years and years. And then lastly, my nemesis, well, not lastly, well, there's my nemesis, Daddy Concho, and the Frog Who Never Lies. How are we not getting more votes for the Frog Who Never Lies? He was used as the lie detector by Traumerei in the Enkidu interrogation scene, which, I mean, Traumerei can literally control animals. Why are you believing? Like, Traumerei just made the frog say things, and Gastong's like, must be true. And then after that, you end up with him showing up and being like, found ya, to Andorthy, and Andorthy being like, what the heck, a talking frog? And then gets caught by Traumerei and Holin. In 114th place with 13 votes, you got Datakun Masheni, Eurasia Blossom, and Hayirin. You got two of the family heads here, Blossom and Yurin, tied at 13 votes. And in 113th place at 14 votes, you got Valhalla. Valhalla being the one person there. I didn't accidentally say tied, did I? Might have. 111th place is a tie, though, at 15 votes between Jumbo and Lopobia Ren/Ling. They are the same character. They're just one person with two bodies that they can control. So Ren and Ling and Jumbo, I think Ren and Ling are really, really underrated here. A big drop from last time, and I think that Ren and Ling's fight with Bomb was one of the better fights in Season 3. So, yeah, it's kind of, kind of low for me. Again, throwing in my own opinions. Then you have 105th with 16 votes, the Astronaut Revolution member, who did more well than expected, way more than the bosses or whatever, but, Revolution still not doing that great, but, I thought would even do less. Then Sweet Fish. Well, I didn't think they would do less until I started seeing votes come in, and then I was like, oh no, they're not doing very well. You got Sweet Fish here, who, our Lord and Savior Sweet Fish carrying the main trio. Then Data Zahard, the real Kun Marco Asensio, also dropping out of top 100. Mule Love, just outside of the top 100 here. And Paracule, all the meme votes draining away, and Paracule dropping from like 21st place, 22nd place, 22nd, I think, dropping all the way down here into 105th. And then 101st place, just outside the top 100, you've got 17 votes, a tie between Dravi, Kong Horyang, or Benyamino Wilmar, who is the only member of Team Tang Suyuk this time who didn't make top 100. Last time, the only one to not make top 100 was Gosang. This time, Ilmar dropped, which is sad. You would think with the anime he would have gotten a boost, and also he's kind of one of my favorite members of that team. I just think he's a really good character, but he hasn't been around in forever, and, kind of a bummer that he's this low. Dravi also could have been higher in my opinion. Michael, who, I don't know, were these meme votes? Who's voting for Michael? Michael and Apple got no votes last time. This time Apple got no votes, but people are out here voting for Michael. And we have Sachi Faker also tied with him. So last time Sachi and Horyang were tied with each other in 77th, and now they're tied with each other for 101st. So both of them have dropped a bit from us not having seen them, I guess. Now it's time for our top 100, and time to zoom in so I don't spoil ya. There aren't too many ties. I feel like there are less ties compared to last time. In general, last time we got 17k votes, this time we got 12k votes. A lot of those votes, though, were kind of from the top. If you take, like, any random, like, 50th place to 50th place, or 72nd place to 72nd place, if you take that from this poll and compare to last poll, in some cases, this poll is even higher for those positions until you get to the very, very top. So it's like, this was just a tougher, tighter competition between characters. The results weren't as top-heavy as last time, which again, kind of makes sense given that the characters that were at the very, very top last time, not all of them had the best showings in the recent arc. Not many characters other than the family heads had very particularly good showings in the most recent arc. But again, opinions aside, we have 99th place is actually a two-way tie, 99th and 100, between Wangnon's Mysterious Weapon. It also did quite well last time, and the Serpent Master, who I think is underrated. I think Serpent Master is a really good character. So I think Serpent Master is being a bit underrated here. Then in 95th place, that means we have another tie here, a five-way tie, I believe, with Roku, who is a character who did basically nothing, but people love Roku. People, like, gush about this design so much. I've seen a bunch of fan art of this design. People just really like this character that did pretty much nothing, which is a little bit of a bummer we didn't get more. Also tied there is Head-On, who did kind of like moderately well last time. Here again is kind of a middling position, an important character, but not a character that I feel a lot of people are going to go, yeah, this is totally my favorite. And then Eurasia N Zahard also tied with the three of them, or two of them. We got one more to go. Eurasia N tying with them makes sense. It's a lore character, a popular lore character at that. Can't wait to see more. Tied with the three of them is Arie Hone with 19 votes. And actually Arie Hone dropped a bit from last time, even though we actually got to see more of him. And I think his character was pretty cool in the Amazu flashback. But yeah, a little bit of a drop for Arie Hone actually. And then in 94th place with 20 votes, we've got Garnak, a new FUG Elder that was given to us. In 90, I think it's probably 92nd. Yeah, 92nd place is a tie with 22 votes between Isas Ademone and Gyeteng. So Gyeteng maybe getting a little bit of an anime boost here. Good kind of fun meme character. And Isas, a bunch of people I keep seeing in chat and everything. Hello Isas Ademone here. So Isas Ademone, 22 votes, 92nd place. And then 91st place, you've got Jaina Rebelista Zahard, who I think is doing slightly better than last time. I think Rebelista was maybe slightly out of the top 100 last time and is now a little bit in the top 100. So 23 votes. I think people in general, I think princesses did pretty well overall. People I think are excited for princesses, given some of the things we just saw. Our top 90 starts with another kind of four-way tie. We have 24 votes. Yogo Sang last time was just barely outside of the top 100, now is within the top 100. Maybe the anime helped out a little bit, but I know a lot of people that just like Gosang. Then we've got Pobedao Liboric Kun, who did quite a bit better than last time. Is it because he's returning and maybe will actually do something? Is that potentially why? But Liboric last time didn't even make top 100. I don't think he did that badly, but he did a lot less well than you would have expected last time, and actually did pretty okay this time, despite not really being around. Also tied with them is Kun Maria Zahard at 24 votes, who you'd think, I thought, recency bias, I thought Maria would do way more well than this, but no, 87th place is very well for a character we've seen like once outside of flashbacks, but solid enough. And then Hayura also tied with the three of them. So yeah, you got Hayura there. I think that's a solid enough placement. I think maybe doing a little bit worse than last time, but not too much worse than last time, just a little bit down. In 83rd place, we have another big tie, 25 votes. Rax Sworn Enemy, gotta be meme votes. Must be meme votes. Who is voting Rax Sworn Enemy? And the other three members of that tie are, first, being Prince. That's fair enough. I think Prince was around 70-something-ish maybe last time. So Prince only dropping a little bit was also in the anime. So there is that. Tied with them is Grace Arlen, who dropped a bit from last time. I think Arlen did better last time. Was pretty hyped up last time. I think maybe even made top 50. But this time, dropping out of the top 50, but not a crazy drop. And also tied with them is Chang Blarode, who it's good to see. I really like Chang. I think Chang last time was maybe in 90 something, so moved up slightly. Maybe the anime people liked him from that. So there's that. Then in 82nd with 26 votes, you got Muntari. I freaking love Muntari. Muntari did well last time, though. Did Muntari make top 50 last time? Maybe around 60 something. But Muntari did really well last time and also really well this time despite not showing up. I just really liked Muntari, and a lot of other people did too. And then in 81st place is Evan Edrock, who again, I think is just doing slightly worse than last time. I think Evan was around the same place last time, maybe just a teeny bit higher in the 60s or 70s. So there is that. But I think this is a pretty solid placing overall for Evan. Top 80 starts off with a two-way tie, 79th place between Sophia Tan, the FUG Elder, at 28 votes. Good place for Sophia Tan. I think she was also around here last time. And Arie Vicente, who has dropped a bit in the rankings, but again, he has been off screen for 3 years, so it would make sense to drop a little bit. You've been off screen for 3 years. Before them is 77th place, a tie between Pobedao Mateha, who I enjoy, so it's cool to see this high. I think was in like barely in the top 100 last time, moved up a little bit this time, saved Hugo and and had a little bit of a fight with. He had a fight, and his interactions were generally good in the hotel. He had the fight with Jam Jam, plus just, yeah, his role in that arc was pretty good. So, you know, did some things since then. It was funny. I was thinking Selena in Dr. Bonehead's chat for that chapter, when they got to the scene where it's revealed that he saved Hugo, or he's holding Hugo, they were like, I'm gonna give him a vote for that. I thought that was really funny. Also tied there in 77th is Daniel Hatchett, another character who of course hasn't been around but is really loved because was just a really good character. One of those characters that showed up, had a full character arc, and that was it. They just had their full character arc and it was good. Then in 75th place, we have another two-way tie. This time, Kirin is tied with somebody. Kirin isn't surprising here. Kirin, I'm not even sure if Kirin broke the top 100 last time. I don't think he did. So to break the top 100 this time is good. But Kirin is not super crazy popular. And Kirin tied with Baylord Paul, who did quite a bit better than last time. Paul didn't make top 100 last time. Makes it this time. Somewhat memey probably, but also I get just liking Paul. His story was okay before he just disappeared, and his design's really good, so it's like I can't really fault people for voting this way. Then in front of that, in 74th place, this will probably hurt a lot of you, Anak Zahard, the daughter. Big fall off. 31 votes, 74th place, and last time Anak was in 20 something, 24th place, so like a 50 place drop, something like that. And it seems like an extreme drop for Anak. But I think there's a really good reason that Anak Zahard is this low. I think it's because, not that her votes are low this time, it's that I think Anak's votes were really inflated last poll. Because last poll was closer to season 1 of the anime, and Anak's basically a main character in season 1. So we had just had season 1 of the anime recently for last poll, and last poll, during the voting of last poll, was the chapter where Anak and Andorthy showed up for the first time in like forever. So she had just showed up for the first time in forever, and we had just had Jin Sung talking to Traumare about doing the marriage tournament. So she had just showed up in season 3 for basically the first time, and they were talking about an arc in which she could have played an important role. So I think that, plus the anime season 1, really inflated Anak's votes last time, and Anak didn't have either of those things going this time, because we pretty much found out that, yeah, she didn't play a role in that arc, and basically hasn't been around for 3 years, except for a brief cameo, basically. In 73rd place at 33 votes is Ari Bright Sharon. I really like Ari Bright Sharon, so I'm happy for this placement. Also, you know, barely made it into the top 100 last time, a little bit higher this time. Then in 72nd place with 34 votes, you have Lopobia Laura. I really like Laura, the MILF herself, so I love this panel of her. So I'm happy for this placement. And then in 71st place at 36 votes, Aria Yanieta. Once again, like I mentioned with characters like Daniel, was a character who showed up, had a full character arc. Daniel, Muntari, characters like that showed up, was good, and kind of complete, kind of a good, complete character. We break into the top 70 with yet another 4-way tie, and this one includes Shibisu at 37 votes. Shibisu, once again, last time we had just had season 1 of the anime more recently, and last time we were finishing up the Nest, and Shibisu was around kind of doing things for almost all of the Nest. So this time we don't have that anime boost. I mean, we got season 2 of the anime, but I feel like it didn't do as well as season 1, and also he doesn't have the boost from the manhwa because he hasn't been around in 3 years, unlike last time. Then he tied with 3 others. First, Rowan Yuya, another character who had a full character arc, people liked, people enjoyed. Surprising to see Rowan a little bit higher than Daniel, since it was the other way around last time, but Rowan did really well last time too. Then Also tied with them is Lopobia Poco. What about Pococoe? Lopobia Pococo at 37 votes. And also tied with them, Blood thinks he's on the team. 37 votes, 67. The fall off of Calavan went from 21st place, I think, to 67th. Hasn't been around for 3 years, and I feel like the Calavan stocks have fallen. It's so funny to see characters like Pococo and Rowan and Shibisu, and then Calavan. It's so funny. So big fall off for Calavan. I still like Calavan. I saw somebody that had a good theory for Calavan's fall off too, that was that said something like Calavan before, a part of the hype of the character and a part of the reason a lot of the people like the character was because Calavan was having really big fights and was like really big in like power scaling, stuff like that. But now we've seen more of Yurik, we've seen the family heads, we've seen Luzlek, and compared to that, now we've just seen like bigger power scaling stuff, bigger fight stuff, and that's probably why Calavan has fallen off quite a bit. In 66th place, above Calavan is Sharknose. Very funny. You could this is a very likable meme choice, so makes a ton of sense. Sharknose here with 38 votes. 65th place is Leroro, a character that I've always liked, a character that's always been popular, got 39 votes, so totally makes sense for me for Leroro to be this high. I think was maybe just a little bit higher last time, but dropped a teeny bit, so this placement to me makes a lot of sense. Above Leroro is Arie Albelda, or the White Clone. I'm cool just saying Albelda because a lot of official Tower of God stuff says Albelda. I put White Clone in there because there's always people that's like, well, it's not technically Albelda. It kind of is now. It kind of is Albelda now. And also official Tower of God stuff calls her Albelda, so I'm cool to say that. 40 votes, 64th place. Did really well last time. I think maybe 40-something last time. So dropped a little bit, but also hasn't been around in 3 years, so that makes sense. And then into 63rd, I think is... Yeah, okay, I was like, is that a tie? No, 63rd place, 41 votes is Nennea. Last time Nen and Doom were beside each other, little mother and son beside each other on the poll, but this time, not quite. 63rd place, 41 votes, Nennea, really popular character for good reason. Nen was just a good, full, completed character. And then we have the tie I was thinking of. 61st place, you have 42 votes between Lopobia Jam Jam or Zam Zam and Kun Masheni Zahard in 61st, dropping from like 30-something last time, I think. Maybe she was in the upper top 20s or whatever, or lower top 20s rather. Or top the top 30, in the 20s somewhere. But yeah, Masheni, Jam Jam. I really, really, really like Jam Jam. So did a lot of people. Kind of did better here at the character poll. Got that W back over Mate, and then tied with Masheni. You know, when is the Masheni Jam Jam buddy cop movie or rom-com happening? There are no more ties in the top 50, so you just gotta bear with a few more ties here. At 43 votes, you have Lopobia Enkidu, who was a big part of the current arc, but I feel like a lot of people didn't like as much. You know, the Jelly Jiggler himself, the Baja Blast. I wondered to myself, this entire poll, I thought to myself, I was like, I used the Jello Cube as his sort of icon, his picture here. And I just thought, if I used the human form, if I used the just Chad, muscular human form as the picture, would Enkidu have done better? That's something that I think I'll always have to wonder about. Would Enkidu have done much better if I had, instead of the Jello picture, used the human form picture? But that's another person who isn't on this list here. Another person not on this list is the human Enkidu that the Jello Enkidu took the body from, stole his identity. But tied with Enkidu at 43 votes is Baylord Doom, this time doing a bit more than Nen, pulling away a bit from Nen the character poll. 59 is Doom, who may have died an awful, poorly done death, but we'll have to wait and see. In 57th, I think, is another two-way tie. 46, it's Suo. Suo, also really good character. I get people liking Suo. Suo did well last time. Suo, I think, did even more well this time. So, yeah, kind of nuts that the ranking went up, but people like Red Witches. Then tied with Leviathan. Who is voting Leviathan? I said it last time. Leviathan did extremely well last time. Very well again this time at 46 votes. I don't get it. I don't get people voting Leviathan. I don't get people liking Leviathan. I don't get it. 55th place is another tie, this time at 47 votes, between Novik, who I am super excited to see this high. Like I said, Beta didn't quite make the top 100, but other than Beta, this is the first member of Team Novik you're seeing so far. Team Novik did really well, and that makes me really, really happy. I was really happy with how well Team Novik did. You haven't even seen the other 3 members. So 47 votes, 55th place. You got Novik tied with somebody, and he's tied with Kun Dizzy, also in 55th place. So Kun Dizzy kind of, is this the most well-received member of Revolution? I think it is. I think this is the most popular Revolution member as it stands now. 53rd place is another tie at 51 votes between Lopobia Hasacha, who again was kind of popular last time, even more popular this time. I get it. I thought Hasacha's character design's really cool. I thought the backstory and stuff was really cool. Hasacha's just a likable character. And Cobalt at 51 votes in 53rd place. Cobalt, I think that makes Cobalt the most popular of Traumare's Shinheo, which makes sense. Cobalt's just really cool. People really like Cobalt. I really like Cobalt. Kind of top Shinheo, it would seem. Then in 52nd, we have, with 53 votes, Enryu there, just outside of the top 50. Enryu, I think, was just in the top 50 last time. I don't remember quite how high, but just dropped a little bit. We haven't really seen or heard anything about Enryu for the past 3 years, though, so it makes sense for a little bit of a drop. And just missing out on the top 50 is Hema Slime with 55 votes. I really like Hema Slime. I think I'd put Hema Slime in that category with like Daniel and Muntari and Inietta, that category of characters. And of course Hema Slime is more recent, so recency bias takes a little bit of a place here. I would put her in that category of characters that were good and just kind of had their character arc. And I like that. I like we just had a full character arc. It was good. And now we get to talk about the top 50. No more ties, everybody. Now starting our top 50, and I'm wondering how exciting or how different or how unexpected these will be for you. I wonder what everybody's predictions are. In 50th place is Kun Edwan at 56 votes. Pretty well for a character we just saw in a flashback. I think that's pretty solid. One of the family heads. Again, compared to the other family heads that we haven't seen too much of, that's pretty good compared to, like, you know, Arihan and some of these others, or like Blossom and Yurin. It's pretty solid. I think we've seen more of Edwan than them, but yeah, I think this is a pretty good placement. Also, gonna have a lot of fun here. I think the top 50 is good. I think these results are all good, but the top 30 especially, when we get into the top 30 are everybody with 100 votes or more. Last time that was top 35. I think once you get into that 100 votes or more space, that is like, you know, kind of your top character area. Then in 49th place, you got 57 votes for Pobedao Damas. I think a lot of people would have expected him to be higher. I expected him to be a lot higher. I think he was one of the few sort of good characters, silver linings for the most recent arc. But I guess being stuck on, you know, main trio island, being stuck with the main trio stuff, maybe just didn't work out that well for him. I expected more. For Dumas. I thought he was going to be really popular, but not nearly as popular as I expected. 48th is going to be Arya with 58 votes. Arya did very well last time, doing very well again this time, despite not being around for 3 years. But, you know, hopefully once we're getting back with the group that we saw leaving the Pobedao family battleship, hopefully we can see some more of Arya once we get back with that group some more. 47th place at 59 votes is Yont Miseng. I love Miseng. Miseng's one of my favorites. I think top 10 for me, if not top 5. I always joke and say Miseng top 5. I really like Miseng, so this is cool to see. I think Miseng is one of the better characters when it comes to the writing of the story. So 57th for Miseng, and 56th is with 61 votes, Lopobia Lafav. Lafav last time was tied with Arya, so Lafav pulled away a little bit this time, and I'm happy for that. I really love Lafav. I like Lafav a lot. And actually, I just thought about something earlier earlier before recording this, I was just thinking about Tower of God a bit, and I thought about how Lyboric's group was pulling up on Lobadan's ship and everything, and there's a lot of things. Maybe they're there to take out the remnants of the Lopobia family. Maybe they're there because Zahard wants to reclaim Traumare's body, and Lobadan had Traumare's body. Or something else I thought about, maybe if what they're after is Traumare's body. Last time we saw Lafav, she was going to be captured by Zahard's army. So what if Lafav, again, I've had the theory that Lafav is Lobadan's daughter and the mother of Catan and Kadede, because she uses guns just like Catan uses guns. They're both gun users. And we also know that Catan and Kadede are the nephews of Laura and the grandchildren of Lobadan. Plus, she fits the Lobadan, Lafav, Laura, Lilial. She fits the L names. She has the blonde hair, just like Laura and Lilial. So I feel like Lafav could be Lobadan's daughter, so maybe there is going to be Lyboric saying, hey, hostage trade Lafav for Traumare's body or something. So that could be even something that happened, something that I just thought about before recording this. But either way, personal opinion and distraction aside, let's go to 45th. 45th this time with 63 votes is Hon Akraptor. I really love Akraptor. Akraptor did really well last time, did really well again this time. Got maybe some love from the anime, so totally makes sense. Just a character that I've always loved, so yeah. 44th place, another of my personal favorites, probably another that's at least top 10, if not top 5 for me, David Hockney with 64 or 67 votes in 44th place. Yeah, I just love Hockney. Hockney was a bit higher last time. Hockney was in 16th place last time, but again, last time we were just coming off the nest where Hockney was involved, and getting into this character poll, we haven't seen him in 3 years. 43rd place with 68 votes, we have Eden Dan. Again, Team Novik doing incredibly well. Probably got a boost from being in the anime, because I think that part of the story is really good for Dan. I think Dan's another character that I just love in general, so it's really nice to see him rated this highly. 44th place brings us to Lopobia Lobadan or Robadan, who I actually didn't expect to be more popular than Dumas. I feel like they are the equivalents to each other from Lopobia to Pobedal family. I didn't expect him to be so much higher than Dumas, but yes, 69 votes. 42nd place, Lopobia Lobadan or Robadan. I'm excited to see him this high though, because I do like Lobadan. And then in 41st place, just outside of the top 40, is Doan, who did incredibly well last time. I think was probably in the 30s last time. Not too much of a drop here. Mostly hasn't been around. Has been around a teeny bit. Probably got a poorly written death here at the end. But again, hopefully not. I hope that CU can just kind of pull an Oda and say, never mind, they didn't die for Doan and Doom because their deaths were so poorly written. So hopefully Doan will be fine. We got 70 votes for Doan. In 40th place with 71 votes is a Baylord Yama. And this might be surprising for some people. I don't know. It didn't surprise me that much. It's kind of a bummer that he's this low, but he didn't do that excessively well last time. I think Yama was only barely in the top 20. If in the top 20 at all, he might have just been in the 20s. So he wasn't super he was really high. I don't want to devalue that, but it's not that big of a drop down. He's gotten a lot of focus though with the stuff between the hotel and the Sprout. Even in the Sprout, when we're focusing on that side of things, we're focusing on mostly Yama, but that stuff just wasn't all handled super well all the time. I see a lot of complaints about the handling of Yama's character all the time. So while I love Yama, Yama's one of my personal favorites. While I love Yama, a lot of other people don't share the same love that I do. So even though he's a prominent character and a prominent character that I personally love, I feel like 40th place isn't a huge shocker for me personally. But for such a prominent character to be so low, I guess just that in itself is maybe a little bit surprising. In 39th place with 74 votes is Hatsu, and Hatsu is an interesting one. He didn't have the fall off that Shibisu and Anak did. So I guess people just really still like Hatsu despite the absence, whereas the others have had an absence and didn't do as well. And the anime boost, you can't really call that much of a thing, because I feel like Shibisu and Anak did much more in Workshop Battle. Well, Hatsu kind of had his own subplot going on in the workshop battle. So who knows? I don't know. People just really still like Hatsu more than Shibizu and Anaka, it would seem. 38th place is Ha Jin-sung at 77 votes. It's a little bit of a drop-off from last time. A bit of a drop-off. I think he was in the upper teens last time, or lower teens, depending on how you want to look at it, like around the 17, 18-ish area. So he dropped off a bit. Not crazy, but he hasn't had the best showing in the 3 years since we last had the last poll. Hasn't had the best showing. And I also feel like he's another character that I also don't always see comments super high on. 37th place is a meme vote, probably. I don't know. Maybe Kanhong's strongest soldiers are out here. It's Kanhong with 78 votes. Kanhong's strongest soldiers went to work, I suppose. 36th place is Black March with 81 votes. Black March also did extremely well last time, did extremely well this time. Kind of makes sense. Black March is important to the story as a 13-month. Doesn't get the good treatment that I think the 13 months deserve, but, it is what it is. Black March doing well once again. 35th place at 82 votes is Lopobia Shiliel Zahard. I've always liked Shiliel a lot more than Liliel. I, kind of thought she could have done even better than this, but I love the design, like the character. She got to be a pretty, important force in the hotel arc, so this makes sense. Last time she was rated pretty highly. She's rated even more highly this time. She's been around, so it makes sense. 35th place is V with 84 votes. And yeah, I think some people might be surprised that he's this low, but if anything, this is really good. This is really high. V last time was in 101st place, I believe, so he just missed out. He wasn't even in the top 100, so he jumped all the way from there into 34th place. I think, if anything, that's a big jump. I think, if anything, it's crazy that he's this high. And really, people are kind of hyped for him, but I feel mostly from what I see from comments, people are hyped for V, but I think there's also a lot of people that are just kind of like, I'll wait and see where things go. That's kind of where I am, is just, I'll wait and see where things go. 33rd place is Yan Yirang. I think that her place in the Amazu flashback was really good. She got 94 votes here. I think her place in the flashback was really good. We'll see what happens in the future with how we're going to handle what her story was from the blog post compared to what it is now in the actual story. I think it'll be exciting to see where that goes. She has kind of gotten a lot of mistreatment, not by her getting mistreatment, but because of everybody else just getting hyped up more. So it will be cool to see where things go, but people do really love her, and I think her scenes in the flashback were really good, so it totally makes sense to me. 32nd place at 97 votes is Garam Zahard. Garam was crazy popular last time. Hasn't had the same fall off as Masheni though, which is kind of surprising, has still remained extremely popular. Last time I think she was 25th, now dropping to 32nd. That's not too much of a drop for a character that we just haven't seen. And in 31st place, before we get to our top 30 with 100 plus votes each, we have Crane with 98 votes. So Crane, 98 votes. Let's go to our top 30. To start off our top 30 with 100 votes is Xia Xia. Xia Xia did extremely well last time, very well once again, just a little bit of a drop off, but again, we had season 2 of the anime where surely she was very good because she's Xia Xia, of course she was. Also, she did well last time because she's just a really fun, enjoyable character. I really love Xia Xia personally, so it blew me away and made me so happy to see how well Xia Xia did last time, and for her to only fall off a little bit this time and still do really well this time was really exciting for me. And like I mentioned, Beta didn't quite make the top 100, but Novik was in 55th. Dan was also really high in the top 50, right? And then Xia Xia now at 30, so Team Novik is just doing really well. 29th place, if you couldn't guess by that KA at the end, was 105 votes, Karaka. So Karaka had a little bit of anime time, I guess, and also people liked Karaka last time. He's had a little bit of a fall off. I think he was like 19th or 20th last time, now dropping to 105th. So, a little bit of a drop off, but I think still very good placement for Karaka, despite not having the best showing for the past 3 years. Only kind of showed up once and then didn't do that well against Richemont and Dumas. Then in 28th place is Amazu with 113 votes. the Amazu flashback was really the highlight of the most recent arc. I think that she was a solid character, so it's nice to see her do this well. I could have seen her doing even more well. I could have seen her not doing well at all. I didn't quite know how fans would vote when it came to her, but I think that there's a really good placement. In 27th place, again, if you couldn't tell from the name, is 116 votes, Evankel. Evankel again, last time did very, very well. This time only fell off about maybe 10-ish places. So again, still doing quite well. Evankel was in the teens last time, this time coming into 27th. I don't think that's a very big fall off for a character who hasn't been around since last poll. So yeah, I think this is a solid placement once again, still popular. 26th place at 117 117 votes is Lopobia Perdity. And originally, I thought this was another kind of meme votey one. I thought maybe people were just going for Diddy jokes and everything. But actually, when first showing this result to, Dr. Bonehead's audience, to my Discord server and everything, when seeing Dr. Bonehead's chat react and seeing my Discord server react, what I saw was a lot of people that were like, oh, like people in my Discord being like, oh, sick, Perdity's that high, that's awesome, I really liked him. I really felt like CU didn't do enough with him. A bunch of people in Dr. Bonehead's chat were like, oh yeah, I voted for Perdity. I really liked him. I thought that he was one of the best Lopobia branch leaders. So at first I kind of thought that these were meme votes. Perdity did well last time. But no, this seems like genuine love for the character, and that makes me really, really happy to just see people coming together, or keep people coming together and just expressing their love for this, like, sort of not super minor character, but expressing their love for this kind of, more niche character. I thought it was really cool to actually see Perdity do this well, because people really, really liked Perdity. It was really cool. In 25th place at 118 votes is Cha. Cha, I actually think, was in like 31st or 32nd last time. I think it was 32nd. So Cha has actually moved up a little bit. He's been around, has done some things in the most recent arc. Didn't have the most prominent showing or anything, but, did pretty okay for himself. So I think, solid enough placement once again. 24th place is Yu Han Sung, just a little bit of a drop from last time, but just once again a really popular character. Arguably my favorite character. Yu Han Sung is either number 1 or number 2 for me. So again, one of my favorite characters doing this well, I'm really happy about. Again, a character who hasn't been around for a bit, but only fell off just a little bit and is still quite popular. Now 23rd place at 122 votes is a pretty funny fall off. Yurik Mazano, when I asked people, like when I was getting the results ready and everything, or like right before the poll ended, I started asking people, hey, what are your predictions and stuff? A bunch of people predicted, they were like, Yurik fell off, Yurik fell off. And wow, people's predictions were kind of on. Yurik was in 9th place last time and is now in 23rd, which isn't a crazy fall off, but it's quite a bit of a fall off considering the fact that Yurik's been around. He's been around this 3 years since the last poll. He's been fairly prominent in the last 2 arcs. So to have him drop this much despite being around, it's like, wow, yeah, a bit of Yurik's mystique is worn off by... This is something that I said back in Floor of Death, though, and especially Hidden Floor when we saw Data Yurik. I don't know if people really liked it when I was saying it during Floor of Death and Hidden Floor, but I was like, I feel like we're seeing Yurik too much, and he's just becoming less special because we're seeing too much of him. And I think that might be kind of happening here in Season 3 with the past 2 arcs, is I think some of Yurik's mystique kind of wore off when he really didn't do too much of anything. He kind of just loitered around last arc. Like, he had a really, really, really good fight with Luzlek in the arc before last, but then last arc he just kind of loitered around and was embarrassed by Luzlek some more. And you haven't seen Luzlek yet, so I guess this is Luzlek 4, Mazano 0, still taking L after L after L and getting into 22nd place. There's Lopobia Lilial Zahard at 136 votes. Again, I've always preferred Shilial over Lilial, but Lilial's been around since last poll, and also she did really well last time. She did even more well this time, but it makes sense for her to do like even more well because she was a main leading factor in the hotel arc. So it just kind of makes sense that she's really highly rated. But again, to me, not my personal, not one of my personal favorites or anything. And 21st place, I think, is going to be another funny one. I think it's going to be another one people didn't really see coming. Not in the top 20, 142 votes, Pobedao Gastang. I expected him to be a lot higher. I thought he might have even made top 10. I expected Gastang to be higher because so much focus was given to him this arc. But, yeah, not as popular. The Pobedao family just, generally not as popular as the Lopobia for the most part. Did not do the best. There's even, I think, 2 more Pobedao that we haven't gotten to yet. 2 or 3. At least 2. So, not the most popular Pobedao character, even. Yeah, I don't know. For me, personally, Gastang's kind of meh. So, this placement makes sense for me, but it makes sense for my personal taste. But for what I expected to happen, not what I expected. 20th place kicks off with Kun Ran at 146 votes. Ran was incredibly popular last time, barely fell off at all, kind of pretty much in the same spot as last time, roughly. He had the anime, which I'm sure gave plenty of focus to him for workshop battle and everything, and he's always just been an extremely, extremely popular character, so this one doesn't surprise me one bit. 19th place, Pobedao Hugo at 151 votes. I knew people liked Hugo. I knew Hugo was popular. I did not know that Hugo was this popular. I did not expect Hugo to be this highly rated. That is pretty crazy. But, deserved, I guess. Then in 18th place with 152 votes is Lopobia Yasuracha, was in 8th place last time, dropped out of the top 10, but really hasn't been around except to die. So it makes sense, and hasn't been around in a while, period. So kind of makes sense that, Yasuracha was a main focus last time when Yasuracha came in 8th. So it kind of makes sense dropping a bit, but it's really cool to see Yasuracha still extremely highly rated. More highly rated than Yama, more than Yurik still, so that's pretty crazy. And in 17th, I don't know if this is a surprise or not, 176 votes to Zahard. Zahard was in 25th last time, I think, the only tie in the top 50 last time with Garam. And this time, after seeing him in some flashbacks, sort of drawing out his connection to Tromre some more, it seems that people like him even more, and now we have 17th place King Zahard. And then in 16th is Arak Wraith Razor with 209 votes, breaking our 200 vote barrier. And yeah, last time Arak was in 15th, so only a 1 place drop. If anything, that should be surprising. If anything, it's surprising that he only dropped 1 place. And I got some comments on last character poll. When we did last character poll, there were people that were complaining. They were like, why'd you use Chibi Rack? Why'd you use a picture of Chibi Rack? And so this time I was like, okay, I will use the coolest panel possible. I'll use his ancient transformation or whatever. And I wonder if that did help. I wonder if I used Chibi Rack, if he would have really dropped even more instead of hanging around in 16th and only dropping 1 spot. But to me, the main trio hasn't been very well written in a long time, so it totally makes sense for Rack to drop even further. And again, he was already in 15th last time. So even though he's been around, he's been fairly prominent in the most recent arcs, it kind of makes sense that people still don't care too much for where he is right now. In 15th place is REA Adori Zahard with 225 votes. This is a character who I said in my reactions and everything, I was like, I know a character that hasn't shown up yet is doing so well in the poll that they've got to show up in the story. I could have been completely wrong about that, but Adori, before even showing up in the official release, was still doing somewhere in the 20s, maybe even breaking into the top 20 a little bit, and then once the reveal in the official translation came up, just went up even from that, kind of gained ground a little bit in that last week, a little bit more, until sort of coming into 15th place. So yeah, 15th place, and my favorite character is in 14th, so I am glad that not enough time to surpass my favorite character. So in 14th place, REA Joaquin, or White, my personal favorite. Yeah, 229 votes. I am pretty happy with this one. Was in 11th place last time, so only a slight fall off here from 11th place to 14th place, even though White hasn't been around in 3 years. So I'm pretty happy with this placement overall. Again, maybe he would have gotten passed if the poll went on longer than a month. Maybe he would have gotten passed by Adori, but I'm not quite sure, given that, you know, in general, the way that the votes worked, at a certain point, maybe around like 8,000, 9,000 votes, I mentioned, I was like, I feel like we've hit a good, like, survey size, basically, because at that point, the characters kind of just filtered into where they were at, and they were gaining votes proportionally to one another, to where they weren't switching places as often. They were kind of just sort of set in where they were for the most part, and there were a couple that were switching back and forth, but basically the popular characters were popular, the not popular ones were not popular, and everyone was gaining votes proportionally to each other, to the point where things weren't switching up very much once we hit like 8,000, 9,000 votes. So really, who knows if he and Adori would have just kept gaining votes proportionally to each other and just stayed 14th and 15th. In 13th place with 239 votes is Grace Mircea Luzlek. I really love Luzlek. Luzlek's quickly one of my favorites. Another W over Yurik here. I really love him, so I think this is a really good placement. Not really a first placement, because last character poll, before even showing up in the series, last character poll, he was in like 125th place. So this time, jumping from that all the way up to 13th, after not only showing up, but having a pretty prominent role, even getting to be part of a flashback, and just being a really good character. I really like Luzlek. 12th place is a totally new character, though. With 252 votes, we have Pobedao Tiara, who wasn't even around at the time of the last character poll. People have absolutely adored Tiara since the first time that she was introduced, and I've seen a lot of people like, I hope Gaston can rewrite Tiara, but actually, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, maybe not, because Tiara might be another one of those characters like Hema Slime or Muntari or Inietta, where Tiara might have just been a character where we should quit while we're ahead, because Tiara has been good in everything she's done. Like, every scene with Tiara has been good. Tiara's like killed it as a character, was crazy cool in the hotel arc, was super entertaining with the Yuri stuff during the library segment, basically, and then in the Sprout had some of the only good stuff in the Sprout. So really, Tiara's just kind of taken W after W, and maybe while she has this like kind of spotless record, really, we should just say, you know, that's the character. And it's cool to see the character do this well despite just showing up, because yeah, she has really killed it with every appearance. And in 11th place, just missing out on the top 10, is Yeon Yiwa, who hasn't shown up except for in the anime, at 268 votes. Last time was in 10th place, so it was only dropped down 1. It makes sense. Character hasn't been around and only dropped down 1. If anything, that's a very good placement. Like, not being around and only dropping 1 place, that's insanely good. So Yiwa, again, still insanely popular, even though she hasn't been around. And if any of you have predictions for top 10, now's your last chance to get them in before seeing who the top 10 are. This is going to be a really fun one, because I think a lot of people probably aren't expecting this order. In 10th place is Lopobia Elaine, or Kaiser, with 298 votes, almost getting to 300 votes, and she was in 12th place last time, 12th or 13th. I think she was 13th, actually. So 13th place last time, I think, which is a very good and hasn't been around and has still moved up a couple spaces. And I think, to me, this feels like if anybody's like a pro wrestling fan, I don't watch too much, but I actually don't watch at all anymore, but for anyone who knows, it's like when the company tries to push certain people and then kind of neglects others, but the fans are like, no, we want to see this person, so they kind of prop up who they want to see. This kind of feels like that. It kind of feels like people voting that are like, we still love Elaine, we still want to see Elaine. I think it's people voting for Elaine to say, you know, look at how much we love her. We're dissatisfied even that with all the Lopobia focus, she didn't get to do anything for the past 3 years. So I think that this is why Kaiser, or Elaine, actually went up from last poll, despite not being around, is kind of like rebellion votes of people being like, we wanted her to be around, and voting her up because of that. But then, in 9th place, this is the part where we throw our heads back and laugh. El Bozo. Kun Agüero Agnes with 329 votes. This one is a shocker to me. But I feel vindicated. It's a hilarious shocker. The me that read season 1 and season 2 week to week would have been really bummed out by this, but the me that has read season 3 week to week feels kind of vindicated because Kun has not been written very well as a character at all in years. So for me personally, when it came to last poll in 2022, my predictions were, I predicted that Kun would win. Well, there's not really winners or losers, but I thought Kun would be the number 1 spot. I thought he'd be the most popular character, and he was in 3rd. This time, I didn't really think he'd fall off so much, but I thought that other characters had gotten more popular, so I thought that he would maybe not be in 3rd anymore, but I couldn't have imagined him out of the top 5. And then he's in 9th. Hilarious. So Kun in 9th place. Sorry to get my personal opinions in here. People might not have liked it, but I think it is hilarious having Kun in 9th. That is so funny. But yeah, he is absolutely fallen off writing wise, and I think that's why he's fallen off popularity wise. I mean, I get comments disliking Kun all the time at this point. And then in 8th place, with 360 votes, you got Jia Wangnan. Now, for this entire time, you got 360 votes to 329 votes. Kun and Wangnan were really close for this entire poll. And I'll be honest with you, this isn't out of dislike for Kun, but more of kind of like for Wangnan. I was cheering on Wangnan. I was like, come on, Wangnan, get 9th place, or get 8th place. So I was cheering on Wangnan a little bit. And then in the last few days, last week-ish, Wangnan pulled away from Kun. They went from kind of being really close, swapping place back and forth a bit. Wangnan pulled away, and Wangnan almost pulled into 7th place. He pulled away from Kun and almost surpassed Popedal Bellerir, who had 361 votes in 7th place. And this is mostly meme votes, but I still think Bellerir would have done really well either way. Mostly meme votes, 1 vote higher than Wangnan. Wangnan almost caught up to where Bellerir was. Bellerir was actually really close, going back and forth with 6th place the entire time, but then 6th place in the last few days kind of pulled away a bit. I think, obviously this is mostly meme votes, but you look at any character poll ever, and there's always some weird characters that do really, really well. There's always some really high meme votes. And I think the Bellerir, the Crane, Perditi maybe to some extent, but Perditi seems genuine. Kanhong. I think a lot of these characters, you see that in every character poll. Now Bellerir did really, really well, and I think that's because, though he got this high because of meme votes, I think even without meme votes, Bellerir still would have been top 40. Because Enkidu was also pretty high, right? Enkidu was also pretty high. I feel like Bellerir would have been even higher than Enkidu probably, even though I think Enkidu's a better character than Bellerir. For Bellerir, he's played a very recent role in the recent arcs. He's had these interactions with Gastang. He was in 77th place last time, and so that was already high when we knew pretty much nothing about him. And then, since then, he's had these interactions with Gastang. He has had the stuff with the Red Light District, and the stuff with the Red Light District, I think, is stuff that people are really interested in. And also, there is a type of antagonist that I think that fans enjoy, where they're just kind of this snotty antagonist making things worse for the main characters. And when you have main characters that have everything handed to them so often and have things so easy so often, like sometimes our main characters in Tower of God do, I think that it causes fans to kind of cheer on and kind of like these kind of sort of snotty antagonists that just kind of come in and make the story interesting and screw things up. So I think that people would have liked Bellerir enough either way, whether kind of liking him in the Rachel sense of liking him. I think people would have liked him enough that I think he would have been top 40 anyway, maybe even top 30 anyway, even without the meme votes. So the meme votes carried him to top 10, but I think he would have been high either way, me personally. But I've spent a lot of time on him. Time for 6th place, another exciting one to bring up to you all. 25th Bomb slash Jovial Grace with 387 votes. The certified bomb lovers did not show up. Again, though, to me, when you look at the top 10 as a whole, I'm going to do that once I reveal them one at a time. To me, when you look at the top 10 as a whole, this makes sense. Would I have expected it? Would I have expected him even outside of like the top 3 or 4? No, I would not. I thought he was going to be top 3 or 4 for sure. So to drop out of the top 5 is hilarious. But I get it, and I feel vindicated, because once again, like Kun and Rock, it hasn't been as bad as Kun, of course, and it hasn't been as nothing as Rack. But Bomb just hasn't been written the most well in a long time, and I think especially this arc in particular, Bomb wasn't handled very well for the vast majority of this arc, so to me, it makes perfect sense for Bomb to drop this much, but man, is that a crazy drop. In 5th place is Rachel with 423 votes. Last time she was in 6th place, so she's moved up 1 place from last time. It makes sense. People like Rachel. I just explained it with the Belarus stuff. People like it when she comes in and shakes up the story, when she makes Bomb have to face some actual adversity here and there, when she kind of, is kind of this troll against the main characters. So I think that, again, Rachel's popular because she is this troll against the main characters, and also I think that she herself is just really intriguing and has a lot of mystery that people like, and I'm hoping that, when a lot more gets revealed about Rachel, I'm hoping that the mystery makes her even more exciting when we know some things, rather than being disappointed with how the mystery goes. So either way then, in 4th place this time is going to be Hwarian with 447 votes. Hwarian has always been extremely popular, so it makes sense for her to maintain her, streak of being extremely popular. She will have been in the anime as well. It's not that, she hasn't done much, but it's not that she hasn't shown up at all. She's done a little bit this arc, so she has done a little bit, so it makes sense to me for her to be this high. And in 3rd place, somebody it definitely makes sense for it to be this high, is Yuri Zahard with 489 votes. Yuri, it makes a ton of sense. Yuri was extremely popular last time, and this time she got to be in the hotel arc. She got to be a central figure in the hotel arc, really. A lot of screen time there. The stuff not only in the hotel arc, but then in the sort of what I call the library segment of the story, the stuff between Hotel and Sprout, you had all the fun stuff with her and Tiara. Her and Tiara were really fun. So yeah, totally makes sense. Not only was she already popular, but she's gotten to do a ton of cool stuff since then. And then as our top 2, and the top 2 were in competition with each other this entire time. They were fighting neck and neck the entire time. I think one day before voting ended, at some point the day before voting ended, when I checked the results, because I was checking them every few hours, they were tied at 728 to 728. So they were tied even on the last day. So here you go. In 2nd place is going to be Lopobia Traumare. Not surprising, 743 votes, and that means that number 1, 770 votes is Endorsi/Endorsi/Andrasi Zahard. It is really hard. It is really difficult to dethrone the number 1 character of a character poll, so Traumare coming this close is crazy, but here's the thing. Traumare has the most screen time in the most recent arc. Not only the most recent arc, though, the most recent saga, this entire saga, Traumare has been prominent. He has been at the forefront, and when you look at comments, when you look at discussions, people are always talking about how Traumare is one of the most detailed, most well-written characters in Tower of God. So to me, this isn't shocking at all. It's shocking how much more popular he is than Gaston. And also last time, Traumare had just shown up. He had just shown up and he was in 12th place. So you go from 12th place, just showing up, to then getting all of this development in the past 3 years, all of this focus in the past 3 years, and it just makes complete sense for him to be this popular. So you got Traumare, and then again, Endorsi, Endorsi Andrasi. She was really good in the hotel arc, so we had the really good hotel arc stuff. And then when it comes to the Sprout, she was kind of written her weakest. The writing for her was at its weakest, but even then, there were so many times throughout the Sprout where I was like, she is carrying Kun, sometimes literally carrying Kun. Like, she wasn't written the best as she has been, but she was still kind of accomplishing a lot as far as the main characters go in the most recent arc. So yeah, it's hard to dethrone the top character, and it did not happen this time. So you see, we got second character poll, 538 characters, or 12,013 votes. It was done for a month here. Again, I'll send all these images out. And what I meant about the top 10 making sense, so the top 10 from last time compared to this time. You have the Yurik Mazano fall off. Yurik was in 9th last time, and then Yusracha was in 8th, dropping to 18th. So those two drop out, and then Belarir and Tromare are coming in. Makes sense for Belarir, he was popular, plus meme votes, like crazy meme votes. Makes sense for Tromare because he was already in 12th, but he was one of the most insanely popular before. Elaine was in 13th, and Yiwa was in 10th last time. So really, it's more like with Joaquin dropping a few spaces, and with the ones in the top 10 dropping out, it's kind of just like Yiwa and Elaine just kind of switched places. So Yiwa dropped out of the top 10 from being just within it, and Elaine went into the top 10 from being just outside of it. So those two switch places. And then when you look at the stuff inside the top 20 or top 10, last time Yuri was 4th, Waryun was 5th, and Rachel was 6th. So really, Bam and Kun fell from above Yuri, Waryun, and Rachel, but Yuri, Waryun, and Rachel just maintained their order. So those three maintained where they were, and Bam and Kun fell out. And then Tromare went up to replace Bam and Kun, because Bam and Kun were in 2nd and 3rd last time. So Tromare went up to replace them. The two of them dropped out. You got Belarir coming in, replacing, where Mazano and Yusracha were last time, and then Elaine and Yiwa kind of swapping with one another. Wangnan last time was in 7th, I think, and dropped to 8th this time, but generally kind of in the same general area. So that's it. Thank you all for watching. Anybody reacting to these, thank you all for reacting to them. I know it's been extremely, extremely long. My voice is killing me. Been recording for forever. So I gotta go edit all this, make it into a video for you all. I do want to say thank you, though. A huge thank you once again to all of you for voting. A huge thank you to all of you for watching this. A huge thank you to all of you for supporting everything you've done. And yeah, I will get this video up and I'll share the result images out with everybody. I can't wait to watch other people's reactions. I can't wait to see more reactions. Thank you. Thank you so much. And yeah, let me just do my normal outro for all of you really quick. Thank you. Like if you did like the video, comment down there. Tell me what you thought of the results, or anything you want to talk about. So comment down there, follow on Twitter if you want, subscribe if you want to. It'd be very much appreciated. There's going to be a ton more on the channel. I still have a lot of other Tower of God projects to do, even though we'll be on hiatus. If you want to join the Discord, asking you can get a link to that. If you want to support the channel by dropping a super thanks, that's extremely appreciated. Thank you to Marayot, who has been doing that. Thank you. And if you want to support the channel and get your name at the end of videos and get One Piece videos a bit early, you can go to patreon.com/HakuofTheTubes. Their link will be in the description, or just hit join down below to become a member. Thank you to people who are already patrons and channel members. Thank you to chosen regulars Evan Hawley and Bertie Wooster, Magical Girls, FR Nono, JA, and The D-Van, Sheridan Students, David Langstaff and Folded Ghoul, Slayer Candidate, SG, and Pure Element, Pate Ardialo. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.